You probably haven't heard of Paul Brockfeld. He's the Inspector General of the National Archives. Now, the archives not only houses such artifacts as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution, it also secures some of our most secret documents. As the archives IG, Brockfeld is archives in-house cop, and he was the first real investigator on the Sandy Berger case. From the beginning, Brockfeld argued that Berger's crimes were more serious than anyone in the archives, the Justice Department, or pretty much the rest of government was letting on. Brockfeld's now telling his story on television for the very first time, beginning with Berger's initial visit to archives on May 30th, 2002. What was Sandy Berger's behavior?
He was a fairly gruff, demanding, hard-working person.
Berger was preparing to brief the Goss-Graham Committee on the Clinton anti-terror policy prior to 9/11.
People tended to try and want to cooperate with him because he was Sandy Berger, former National Security Advisor.
But there are strict rules for reviewing highly classified files. First and foremost, the files may only be opened inside what's called a sensitive compartmentalized information facility, or SCIF.
You're not allowed to bring cell phones in, you're not allowed to bring your jacket in, you're not allowed to bring binders, anything.
Paul Brockfeld says you won't find much when you step inside a SCIF. Just a chair and a table with no drawers, maybe a secure phone line, and definitely a battery of security cameras watching every cubic inch of the room.
Think of it almost as an operating room where you don't want to allow germs in. You just want it to be a pristine, pure environment to protect the integrity of the information.
So how was Sandy Berger able to walk out of the National Archives with top secret documents? The answer? Archives staff didn't follow their own rules. For starters, Berger was ushered not into a stuffy SCIF, but this windowed office overlooking Pennsylvania Avenue. It belonged to Nancy Smith, director of the Presidential Materials Staff, who didn't even make Berger leave his coat or briefcase outside the room. Brockfeld would only find out about this security breach much later. Why was it that Sandy Berger was looking at highly classified information in a non-SCIF environment?
Because he was allowed to.
Why was he allowed to?
Because he was Sandy Berger.
Smith had ready for Berger 3 boxes like these that included original top-secret national security documents and original files from the office of White House terrorism advisor Richard Clarke. They are known as code word, meaning that only people with the very highest security clearance could ever read them. Now, how sensitive were these documents?
They are, as far as I know, about as most sensitive records as we have in the United States government.
If you're writing notes, even if they're your own notes, while looking at those documents, those notes then become classified. They would have to remain here as part of the archives.
Absolutely correct.
From the beginning, Nancy Smith did not like the way Berger was handling the records.
There was concern that he was abusing his treatment of the records, that Mr. Berger was not treating them in the order and care that he should be.
To understand why that's a big problem, we need to explain how the top secret documents were cataloged, stored, and presented for Berger's review. There were 3 basic kinds of files. The first type contained National Security Council documents. They were stored in folders. Every individual document inside each folder was numbered, but not every page of the document. So somebody would be aware if you took a document from the folder, but not if you took a single page or an attachment from the document. Another type of file was known as a staff member office file. As the name implies, these were the original files of Clinton White House aides like anti-terror advisor Richard Clarke. These files were only numbered by the folder. The individual documents inside had no numbers. The third were White House emails, and they were generated by a keyword search. So although they could be replicated, if somebody secretly took one of them, nobody else would know it was missing. That's why Paul Brockfeld says we can't know if Sandy Berger stole classified documents from the archives that day. We do know he would remove highly classified materials from the archives on his next visit. July 18, 2003. Berger returned to review 4 boxes, including original NSC documents and staff member office files that had been requested by the newly formed 9/11 Commission. Again, Berger was shown into Nancy Smith's office and not a secure SCIF room. Compounding that security breach, Smith also allowed Berger to take personal phone calls. She even stepped outside her office to give Berger privacy and left him alone with the top secret documents. Berger took advantage of Smith's lapses. One of the times she left him alone, as Berger would later admit, he folded up about 20 pages of his notes and stuffed them into his jacket pocket. At the end of the day, he just walked out of the door with them. This was the first crime that Berger committed that we know about. We have to rely on his word that he didn't stuff anything else into his pockets. Berger visited the archives a third time a month and a half later, September 2nd, 2003. By this time, the 9/11 Commission had convened, and Berger was most interested in the highly classified Millennium Alert After Action Review.